This is the lecture for lesson 16. This lecture is all about composition of functions. We will start by talking about how we combine functions using algebraic operations, as well as creating a new function by composition of functions. What we're going to be given is two different functions, and we're going to be asked to combine them by adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. We have the function f being negative 4x and the function g negative 3x plus 5. So the first thing they want us to do is to find f plus g of x, which literally just means add the two functions together. So negative 4x we want to add with negative 3x plus 5. Negative 4x and negative 3x are like terms, combining to make negative 7x plus 5. And that is the answer. B, they want us to take f and subtract g. So f minus g of x means we're going to write the f function, negative 4x, and subtract, and I'm going to put g's function in parentheses here, negative 3x plus 5. So we have negative 4x, and now I need to just subtract negative 3, which means we add 3x and subtract 5. Now combining like terms in this one, negative 4x plus 3x is negative 1x, and then we have minus 5 on the end. C says find f times g of x. So it wants us to take f, which is negative 4x, and multiply it by g's function, negative 3x plus 5, which means we're going to distribute. Negative 4 times negative 3 is positive 12. X times x is x squared. Negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. Carry the x. And the last one they want us to do is f divided by g of x. So we put f, negative 4x, over g, negative 3x plus 5. And we can't simplify that, so that one is done. We now have function f being 4x squared minus x minus 3, and function g being x plus 1. We again want to find f plus g of x. So let's add them together. 4x squared minus x minus 3 plus x plus 1. We have 4x squared, that does not have any like terms. Negative x and positive x, well, that cancels out to no x's, so I'm not going to write any x's. Negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. So f plus g is 4x squared minus 2. B wants us to do f minus g of x. So we're going to write f's function, 4x squared minus x minus 3, and then subtract, in parentheses, x plus 1. So again, we need to make sure we distribute that subtraction sign through the problem. So keeping the beginning the same, 4x squared minus x minus 3, I'm going to distribute in that minus sign. So that's going to make minus x and minus 1. So we have our 4x squared. If I have minus x and minus x, that's minus 2x. Minus 3 minus 1 makes minus 4. So the subtraction of the two functions yields 4x squared minus 2x minus 4. And the last one wants us to multiply. So 4x squared minus x minus 3 to be multiplied by x plus 1. So you can do your distributing, or you can create your little window pane. So I've got 4x squared, negative x, negative 3, and x and 1. So 4x squared times x is going to be 4x cubed. Negative x times x is negative x squared. And negative 3 times x is negative 3x. And now I'm going to multiply all of those same terms by 1. So 4x squared times 1 is 4x squared. Negative x times 1 is negative x. and negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. I will combine my like terms. Starting with my highest power, I have 4x cubed. Nothing combines with it. Next comes x squareds. I have 4x squareds minus an x squared, so 3x squareds. The x's, I have a negative x minus 3x, so negative 4x. And on the end, I have a lone minus 3. The next thing we're going to do is create a new function by doing what's called composition of functions. We're still going to have an f function. We're still going to have a g function. But what they want us to do now is find this, f of g of x. So I read that as f of g of x. That's how you read it. And what they're asking you to do is plug g's equation into x of the f equation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug 3x minus 4 into every x of the f function. So f's original function is 5x plus 2. So I'm going to do 5. Instead of x, I'm going to plug in 3x minus 4, which is g's function, and then plus 2. So it was originally 5x plus 2, but in place of x, I'm plugging in g's function. And then I'm going to work it out. So 5 times 3x is 15x. 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. And then I have a plus 2. So combining my like terms on the end, 15x minus 18, because negative 20 plus 2 is negative 18. All right, working with number 4, we have our f function is 7x plus 1. We want to find f of g of x. So again, we want to take g's function and put it in place of x. So I still have the 7, but in place of x, I'm plugging in 2x squared minus 9, and then I need to carry down my plus 1. So again, I'm going to distribute 7 times 2, 14, carry the x squared, minus 7 times 9 is 63, and then I have a plus 1 on the end. So 14x squared, that's going to make minus 62. And then we have one more. Our f function here is x squared plus 1. And we want to plug g's function into x. So in place of x, I'm going to plug in x squared minus 3. But that needs to be squared. And then I have plus 1. We need to remember what squared means. Squared means to times it by itself. So I'm going to write it as x squared minus 3 times x squared minus 3, and I can FOIL this out. So x squared times x squared, x to the 4th. X squared times negative 3, negative 3x squared. Negative 3 times x squared, negative 3x squared. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. And then I'm going to bring down my plus 1. X to the 4th does not combine with anything, but these two negative 3x squareds do combine to make negative 6x squared. And then 9 plus 1 is 10. So the biggest thing is just making sure you are plugging in the inner function for x in the other function. This second section here is going to have us evaluate these composite functions with a table, with a graph, and given our actual functions. For these first ones, we're going to use a table. They give us our x value, our f of x value, and our g of x value. This first problem says find f of g of 2. What I'm going to do first is the innermost piece, which says g of 2. So what I need to do is find g of 2. What that means is find the x value of 2 and tell me what the function g's result is, which is 4. So g's function evaluated at an x value of 2 gives me 4. Now what I need to do is fill in what I did. Well, g of 2 is 4, so then I want to find f of 4. What that means now is, again, find the x value now of 4 and tell me what f value that gives me. Well, f gives me 20. So the final answer, f of g of 2, is 20. So you always do two parts. The first part, plug that one back in to get the second part for your final answer. We have a different table here because we've got different functions. We want to find f of g of 4. So we're going to start with g of 4 first. So find 4 for x and then find the g value there. So g of 4 gives me an answer of 3. Now I want to plug that back in. So now I have f of 3. What I'm going to do is now find 3 and find f's value at that, and that is 8. So final answer, f of g of 4 is 8. Next one, we're going to use graphs. We want to find f of g of 4. Given this first graph is f, it may be a little hard to see, but this is the f graph, and this graph over here is the g graph. So again, we always start with the inner piece. G of 4 equals what? So what that's asking us to is to find on the graph the coordinate 4 comma something. Well, x is 4 here. The graph is -1. So g of 4, the first thing we do, find g of 4, we get -1. Now we take that value and plug it into the f part. So part 2 wants f of -1. So we find -1 for x. Our graph is down here at a value of -3. And that is the final answer. So f of g of 4 is -3. Next one wants us to find f of g of 2. We have completely different functions for f and g here. So remember, we're going to start with the inside piece, g of 2, and g is my second graph here. So I want to find +2 for x, and my graph has a value of 4. I'm going to take that value and now plug it in for f. So now I want to find f of 4. So I find the x value of 4 and find where my graph is. It is up at a height of 2. So the final answer, f of g of 2, is 4. The last way that we can do these composite functions is with the actual equations. So we have to find f of g of 3, given f's function is x squared plus 1 and g's function is x squared minus 3. So we always start with the inner piece. So start with g of 3. So I'm going to take my g function and plug in 3. So 3 squared minus 3 is what I need to do first. 3 squared is 9. 9 minus 3 gives me the answer of 6. So there's the first part. Now I need to do f of that answer. So f of 6 is what I'm looking for now. And we're going to use f's function, x squared plus 1. Instead of x, I'm going to plug in 6. So 6 squared plus 1. Well, 6 squared is 36. If I add 1 to that, I get 37 as the final answer. Six wants us to find f of g of 1 if our function f is 5x minus 2 and function g is the opposite of x squared plus 4x minus 1. So we're going to start with the inside piece, g of 1. So g of 1 makes the opposite of 1 squared plus 4 times 1 minus 1. So the opposite of 1 squared, well, 1 squared is 1. Carry down the opposite sign, so negative 1. Plus 4 times 1 is 4, minus 1. Negative 1 plus 4 is 3, minus 1 is 2. We now take this answer and plug it into the second function, f. So now we're trying to find f of 2 using 5x minus 2. So 5 times 2 minus 2 is 10 minus 2, or 8. Last two problems here, if you look, they switched it. Now we're finding g of f of 2. So the inside piece here is f of 2. So now we're starting with the f function because that's what's inside. Process is going to be the same. It's just instead of starting with g, this time we're starting with f. So f of x is 7x plus 1. So instead of x, I'm going to plug in 2. So 7 times 2 plus 1 makes 14 plus 1, or 15. I'm now going to take that answer and plug it into g. So the second part is g of 15. So if I plug that in for x, for 2x squared minus 9, 2 times 15 squared minus 9. 15 squared is 225. So 2 times 225 minus 9. Well, 2 times 225 is 450. And then I want to subtract 9 for a final answer of 441. So same process. You just always have to look at which letter is where. For 8, we want to find g of f of negative 1. So inside is f of negative 1. And we're going to use our f function first, 6x minus 3. So 6, instead of x, I'm going to put negative 1 minus 3. So 6 times negative 1 is negative 6 minus 3 makes negative 9. And now I want to find g of negative 9. So g of negative 9 using my g function, x plus 3 over 6. So instead of x, negative 9 plus 3 over 6. Negative 9 plus 3 is negative 6. Divided by 6 is going to give me negative 1 as the final answer. And that is the end of this section, so you can go on and do your homework.